Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So today you might notice that the build started with something already on the go. So today I wanted to try out a lot of the different builds that you can do with terrain. So I basically always steer clear of terrain. I try to use it here and there, but typically I'll just have a flat lot. I don't typically use the terrain tool mainly because you see how there's a lot of brown around right now? You can't really put paint on that, or I guess any terrain paint in this case, not just any regular paint, but my point is that you can't really do much with it in that sense, and I don't really like how that typically looks. But today I thought, what if we make a full-blown mountain out of it? So this house is just a mountain home. I did leave a lot of the finicking around so you can see how challenging this actually was. There was a picture I was originally inspired by, but I couldn't find it again. And it was basically a house that had 2 levels, but it wasn't just a regular split level. The bottom level was basically a greenhouse. And I couldn't find the picture again, but I basically was inspired by that. Now here you see me fiddling around a lot with the roof. And that's because of how uneven the terrain is. Basically, if the terrain isn't all flat, well, not necessarily all flat, but if it has this much of a level difference, it doesn't like putting a roof over any of it. So I fiddled around with it a lot, and yes, technically the roof is floating, but I put the overhang to go over the walls, so at least it kind of looks like it's supposed to be there. The house itself though is completely enclosed. I did have to cheat a bit with it as well. It kept saying that the terrain was uneven. So all you do to work around that is basically you put a wall down and then you move it. So then that way it considers it at least a wall that is blocking off, so you can see that there isn't like any light coming into the unit, which basically just means that it is properly enclosed. It just won't really count as a room when you're trying to paint, so you just need to be careful of which walls are actually being painted and which ones aren't. You're actually going to see me struggling with that a bit as well. There were a few walls that I ended up painting without meaning to. Now, for the house itself, as I was saying, yes, it's a bit weird being on a mountain, but I put a lot of trees around at the end, and I want to say that it works at least. Here, I always use this fencing, and I wasn't really wanting to use it again, but I thought it actually worked out pretty well since everything was starting to be quite light in wood. So, hey, safety first, right? Now, as I mentioned, there's just a lot of fiddling around with this house, but I really wanted to try something new. I really wanted to challenge myself because I don't really do these type of things on Sims. I always just build a house and call it a day. But I was like, no, I want to do a challenge where I actually try to have a house that is very high up. Now, obviously, here in this world where it's at, I believe it's a new crest, it won't really work out because it's all flat. It's all city in the background if you look around. But this house will work on any other lot that you want to put it in. So if you have a, I forget the name of the pack, but there is the pack that gives you Magic Realm? I really can't remember. But that one, from what I've seen, it does have a bit of a terrain where there's more mountains in the background and a lot of trees and whatnot. So it might work out better there. Either way, this house, as I mentioned, I was heavily inspired by a picture that I had seen. Sorry I can't find it and put it in here so you can see what I'm talking about. But just keep in mind that it was inspired by something that is existing. And it doesn't always translate very well when you go into Sims. There's a lot of stuff where will look really good in real life, but once you go into Sims, it's like, ooh, you need to do a lot of fiddling around with it. So there are a lot of areas that look quite flat, but again, there's just a whole bunch of trees that come in at the end of it. So once they're all there, it all looks a lot better, I promise. And yeah, here's the part where I was having to fiddle around with it a lot once again, just because it kept thinking that there were uneven spaces. Even though when I was doing the terrain leveling, it said that everything was leveled already. But just a lot of fiddling, as I've probably said like 15 times by now. And I eventually got it to work. I think that was probably like the first hour of the build, just going there, and that is already with the stuff cut out at the beginning when I was just trying out the concept and seeing, is this gonna work or not? Now, in the inside, it's a 2-bedroom home, and it has a single bathroom, but it does have a little office. I decided to put an office since there weren't many spaces that I thought a desk would fit in. It's actually, I don't think it's considered a micro home by any means, but it might be a tiny home. I didn't count the tiles, but I'm guessing it's somewhere around 100, since the whole green house area of it doesn't actually count the square footage, since it doesn't register that that is an enclosed room. So only the inner square, I guess you could call it, is what would count. So that little office area, you could make it into a half bath or a full bath if you really wanted to. But I didn't really see a space where a desk would fit without it looking too weird. So that's why I made a little office area. And it's very colorful compared to some of the other builds that I've done. But I got some greens here and there and some oranges here and there, and I thought, hey, why don't we roll with it? It is a very small house, so I didn't want to overwhelm it with color, but I did want to at least have a lot of color going on in the house to make up for the blandness that is outside, I guess you could call it. And as you can see, there's just a little dining area and a little bedroom area. It is all play tested. I have a sim that I always bring in, and you can actually see him there in the kitchen now. I was just making sure that everything that I had placed by that point actually works, and that's what I do with pretty much all my builds. I try to make sure that it looks somewhat decent, but that it actually works as well. So your sims can walk around it no problem, and obviously you can add more stuff if you want. You just have to be careful of whether you're blocking a door, or maybe they can't watch TV anymore, or whatever it is that you might be fiddling around with there. And with that, I think I'm going to leave it there. We're about halfway through the video, so yes, this one is quite long, but I don't think you want me talking your ear off for 15 minutes, I believe this video is. But let me know what you think down below. Let me know which houses you would like me to build or what type of style you want to see next. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good weekend.